Hello and welcome. Today in the TechStream studio, I'm here with Jan Eveleens, the CEO of the product division at Riedel Communications. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. And what about you?
I'm doing fairly well as well. So we've been wanting to sit down with you ever since you took office over earlier this year, right in the middle of a period marked by rapid industry transformation and also economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
I believe that's a very harsh environment to become CEO. So today we want to talk about where Riedel is headed and what your vision looks like, and
Hmm.
also how you plan to navigate these challenging times. So shall we dive in?
Yes, please.
So the first question I have for you is: you stepped into the role starting at the start of the year. You took over from Rick Ray. What was your first "Oh wow, I'm the CEO now" moment?
Um, yeah, well, there was, I think the biggest moment was when the press release went out and I got a lot of pings on WhatsApp and LinkedIn and email and what have you. And I thought, ooh, okay, yeah, now it's for real, right? So, I mean, of course, before that, some people already knew that, and you kind of anticipate. But then, at that moment, I thought, oh, yeah, now I can't go back. Not that I wanted to, but it's yeah. I mean, it was also. I mean, it was overwhelming. I mean, so many people reacted over the years. I've get to know so many people in the industry and beyond over across the world. So really, yeah. Well, it was also heartwarming that so many people reacted. And of course, then there were these moments when a few weeks later, when you dive into the things that you say, "Oh, okay, yeah, that is a challenge," and okay, now I need to work on that and pick that up. But yeah, I mean, luckily also I've quite some experience, so I'm not easily scared.
That's helpful, I guess. And also, becoming CEO of the product division at Riedel Communication is a big deal. So I can kind of understand the people reaching out and saying congratulations. But you just mentioned that you've gathered vast experience in your previous roles as well, and that might have come in handy because you went into office in pretty turbulent times as well. So new tech popping up everywhere, tight budgets, also shifting workflows. What of these transformational things happening in the industry have been the most surprising for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm in the industry for a long time, and I've seen all the developments. I'm so old that I was still active in when things were analog, right? So that means I've seen many changes, and from that perspective, some of these changes are indeed step changes, but they are yeah, also similar to some of the step changes that we have seen in the last 30 years, right? So
Mm.
I see some deja vu, some record, yeah, let's say repeat of things that I've seen before. What I think is really new is of course the economical environment and how that impacts us, but also the customers, and especially the North America trade situation, right? Which is certainly impacting the vendors, but of course also impacting our customers there, and that is something that yeah that I've not seen before in my career. So something new to deal with, and also uncertain, of course, because we don't know what the next announcement is going to be tomorrow. So that is an yeah something that is yeah really pushing me and the team to yeah to think maybe out of the box because we've never seen that before.
Let's talk about the Riedel DNA for a little bit. When you stepped into your role, Thomas Riedel said you instinctively understand what the Riedel DNA is all about. So I'm curious, what is it?
Yeah, it's something which is hard to grab, I think, and to define maybe in one or two sentences. I think there's a couple of elements. First of all, I think Riedel from its start and Thomas from its start when he started in his garage basically with a few radios rental. You probably know the story. Um, I mean, something in this company is about the show must go on. We always need to find a solution for the customer. And that is one element that I really like, right? So that focus on the show must go on. The customer needs to be helped, needs to achieve their goals, and then let's say the how then the company comes together and everybody is really cooperative to make that happen. I think that's really is different from what I've seen in some of the other companies I worked before. Um, and then this I would say fun element in the company. Thomas knows to throw a good party, and we work hard. I mean, we really have sometimes really stressful times to reach these goals of making the customer shine and the show must go on. But then we also we work hard. We party hard as well, right? So that is another element, and there's this camaraderie, so this family feeling. Although we are 1,000 people, it still feels like a smaller company, and these elements are all important, I think. And then we don't have a strong hierarchy. Of course, I'm the boss between quotes, right? But I always say I'm one of the team with a special role, and that's also how Thomas steers the company, right? We try to be, well, humble is maybe the wrong word, but down to earth, right? I think that's and we are in many very big events, but a lot of people don't know, and we are more in the background, and we are okay with that, and but also that gives us pride. I mean, we are proud of what we do.
Sure. So part of the reason why we set up this call is also to pick your brain a little bit. You just mentioned you've been in the industry for a long time.
Yes.
You've been with Axon, you've been with Grass Valley, and you also have been at Riedel for quite some time,
Yeah.
being COO in your previous role.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you is, what management lessons have you picked up over the years, and are you now applying to your new role as CEO?
Yeah, I think the most important lesson I learned over the years is it's in the end it's all about the people that are in the organization, um, motivating the people, the right person on the right in the right function. This makes all the difference. Um, and then I think if you can achieve a motivated team where you have the right people in the right place, then you can move mountains, right? And all other things are important but secondary in my opinion. So for me, that is an important lesson, which I maybe did not recognize when I was very young, but over time, you start to see that if that's not perfect, the results are usually also not there, right? And if you get the right person on the right place and you get that motivation and you empower the team and the people, then that becomes winning, right? And I think it's the same in sports. If you create that the I mean team sports, if you have that the right mix of people in your team, they don't all have to be superstars, right? Because that sometimes doesn't work either. But that right combination and where people are willing to help each other and really are motivated to win, I think that makes all the difference. Yeah, and then of course I learned to be a bit more patient, right, and keep my emotions a bit more under control. At least the negative ones. The positive is always fine, but but some of these things only come with years, right? I mean, if you're younger, you are more impatient, and you're controlling your emotions is maybe a bit more difficult. So so these are for me the most important elements, right? And then consistency, try to make sure that the message is clear, the road is clear, because the more noise you have in the system, the more noise you have in the organization, the less effective it is. So if everybody knows where we're going, if we all are trying to solve the problems on the way in that direction, you're so much more effective than if that is unclear and people start to go around in circles, right? And I can't be in 10 different places at the same time. So it's important that for everybody, that road is clear. So that's what I also try to create some clarity and avoid that there is too much what I call noise in the organization.
All right. Very interesting. So let's go on and talk a little bit about technology. And there's been a lot of buzz around hybrid setups in the recent years. IP transformation is something we've been hearing a lot from over the past years as well. So I'm wondering how you try to focus your attention. So how much of hybrid and IP and going 4K, 8K, how much of that is buzz and how much is actually changing how your team builds products? So how do you decide what to focus on?
Yeah, it's a good question because there is indeed in our industry, probably in other industries as well, but I've only been in this industry really, so can't judge that. But there is always buzz and hype, right? And you have to be a bit careful with that. I mean, I I remember the 3D hype, right? And well, that went away very quickly. It didn't go very far, right? And
I
for
still have a 3D television
me
hanging on
too,
my
me
wall.
too. I
I
have.
never used it as a 3D
Yeah,
television.
and I was cleaning out the cupboard actually, and I just came across these glasses that you need to wear with that
Yeah.
TV. That I didn't even remember that I had these glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that shows that not every buzz and hype is gonna translate into something real and valuable long term and let's say important for our customers. So that is is a lesson that we all have to keep in our minds. But in general, I would say, yeah, a lot of these hypes have generated, in the end, a clear direction and a step up for the industry. If you look at IP, cloud, they were all hyped and they're still hyped, and now AI, right? But I firmly believe that these technologies will have or are having a severe and strong impact on the way we develop our products and how customers are using them. And so, yeah, these are certainly elements. I would say 80-90% of our development efforts are in that area, right? So they are on IP transition, they are on, let's say, virtualization, cloud, and also we are looking into AI. But you also have to remember that our business is one of what I call a long tail. We have customers still that are happily doing traditional SDI systems today and buying new gear, right? And that's for a reason, and that's not because they are second-rate citizen or whatever. It fits their business needs, and so for us, it's also important that we don't lose sight of that we don't kind of only focus on let's say all these new things and only develop there, but we also maintain the products for a lot of customers that make these let's say different choices for very good reasons, and we need to support them as well. So, but it's also, of course, then creating a challenge because if we need to stretch ourselves in the organization, in product development, in support, even in sales, between the customers that are still more in traditional way, and then customers that are asking us about what AI tools we are going to use in our products, right? So that is the challenge, but also it makes it fun because the dynamics are very large between different customers and it's not always every day the same.
Yeah. So I mean, Riedel has been has been starting off as an intercom company, basically, very far back, and Riedel has also made some very strong acquisitions in the recent
Yeah.
years. Um, so at NAB, for instance, I was surprised to see that there's a drone operation solution now within the Riedel group as well. So I'm kind of wondering how you look at all these acquisitions. Are you more in the grow what we have mode now, or are you still open to expanding the toolkit?
No, we are always interested in looking at other opportunities at companies, right? So it's not a strategy that we only grow by buying companies. That I mean, some companies have that strategy or have that strategy. We don't. But we are always looking outside with open eyes and interest. And yeah, many cases we say no, or we just don't even react. But in some cases we say, this might really fit in our strategy. So let's take a closer look. And then, yeah, if it's really interesting, then we also can decide to do that. And yeah, we have done a few, and I'm pretty sure we'll do another few. Um,
Is there anything in your pipeline for 2025?
maybe. Yeah, I can't really say. I mean, as I said, we are always looking at other at options, and um, I can only say something when the ink is dry, right? And yeah, if that's not the case, then I won't say anything. So, but yeah, it's as I said, it's not a strategy per se, but it's an important element to further develop the company, and we look at these elements where it would drive really the Riedel in the direction that we want, and is kind of feeding also on that DNA where we are on some of the innovative edge. Maybe not over the top. I mean, that's also why we invested in the 5G, the easy 5G, because we see that wireless. I mean, communication will continue to be growing, important. And the solution that we have now is really, yeah, a Wi-Fi on steroids, right? And really easy to set up. And then then we see potential and say, okay, we can now build new applications on top of that, and so on. So that's how it's more like buying stones to build the house further, right? That's how we see it. But
But
there
your
is
idea
no.
is not necessarily, sorry, your idea is not necessarily to build an end-to-end ecosystem for, let's say, live production. So,
Well, I mean, life is an important. I mean, that's in our DNA. I think I mentioned that earlier. That's where Thomas started, and that's also with our managed technology side, the events business, where we are. Most of our customers on the product side are in live production, so it needs to fit with live. I mean, um, does Easy 5G fit with live? You can argue, but you can see how that kind of connects as well, because it's probably going to be used in a large live event where you need protected data transmission, and so on. So, um, yeah, the word live somehow, directly or indirectly, needs to be associated. But I mean, with the drones, okay, that already becomes maybe a bit more difficult to say that. But still, you can, if you look at what they really offer, this management of the drones, where they can go and not. Again, that is something which you would use in a live event or a live environment. So yes, the word live is probably the red thread in what we try to do.
all right. So if you look heavily into everything related to live broadcast as well,
Yeah.
are there any trends you think people are still underestimating in that field?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Underestimation is probably the right word. What we see in general is that our our customers try to do more with less, right? That is I think efficiency is a really important element. So I mentioned before that we are looking at innovation, but not innovation per se. In the end, it needs to help the customer to do their business better. And in today, for many of our customers doing their business better means doing it more efficient. So their assets are used better, or they can do more productions with the equipment, or whatever, or they don't need rocket engineers to operate the system. This is I think is really important. So technology is cool, and this is also what makes me tick. Uh, but in the end, it should serve a purpose, and the purpose should be that the customer is able to do a better business case for them.
All right. Since you wouldn't really let me know which kind of companies you want to acquire in 2025, maybe you like this next question. So if I were to peek into a product meeting at Riedel at the moment, so
Yeah.
what would I hear you pushing in these meetings the most these days?
Yeah, I mean it's probably it's I mean in the end time to market is an important element, right? So the world is moving faster. Technology is moving faster, and with AI, we will see that even accelerate. Also, in how AI will influence how we develop products, and customers are getting more and more demanding. So, yeah, time to market is probably the most important one. The second one is that yeah, we need to create cool and sticky products. Um, we just don't want only to make me too, let's say, average products. We really want to have it doesn't. I mean, all the basic features that need to be there, right? And no question. It should just be clear if customers look at it, they say, oh yeah, this is a real product, right? Where yeah, there's a few little things there which are different, and yeah, so that's I think important. And the third element is quality. I mean, our products, our Riedel is known for high quality products. Some products are in the field for 20 years, 30 years sometimes, still working. Um, Not that is always a good thing, because that means that they don't buy a new version maybe for too long. But it shows that yeah, we are about quality. So that's another other element, major element. Yeah.
So I want to go back to time to market because I think that's really, really interesting.
Hmm.
You mentioned that you're at 1,000 employees at the moment
Yeah.
currently. So how can you possibly address the ever accelerating demand of new tech and new features in your technology? How can you possibly address that at Riedel and help your team be more efficient in that matter?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's two elements, right? First of all, on the engineering side, we need to make sure that we educate and hire the right people with the right skills. So I mean, and we have been doing that. We have seen that we migrated from more hardware development to software, and now we see that shifting to full stack development and cloud cloud development type of people. Um, so that's certainly an important element. And the other one is yeah, we have to pick our battles. I mean, we can't pursue every cool technology. We really have to focus on the things that fit what's with the products that we are strong in and want to be strong on, and yeah, focus on that. And so, for example, for our Bolero wireless intercom, yeah, we focused really on the quality of the audio and the quality of the reception or the transmission. Um, and yeah, we could have done many other things, but these were what we believed key elements for the user. Um,
I just heard that you equipped the Royal Albert Hall. Just came in
yeah, I
today.
mean
Congratulations.
there is yeah so many cool projects now that we are doing, and this is also feeding then let's say the DNA, right? It makes us feel proud that our products are being used in these very high profile events or very high profile locations, and that is yeah. I mean, it's a kind of yeah self-propelling system, right? If you build cool products and then you hear or read that are used in some of these very cool locations or events, that kind of yeah stimulates everybody to do even better on the next version or the next product. Yeah, so and that's how yeah how it also worked with me. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jan, please tell me what's the one product you're most excited about, or the one feature
Or
that you're most excited about, where you think that's peak Riedel, that's exactly what this company stands for, and if you had to describe Riedel as one product or feature, what is it?
yeah, this is a tricky question because anything I will say now will be used against me by the by the people who are maybe working on some of the other products, right? Um, but I would still probably say Bolero. I think I mean, that product has lifted us as a company in a big way, right? And it also helped to stimulate our wired intercom business because they often go hand in hand. So for me, that I mean, I still hear customers say that yeah, that is really a cool piece of technology, and it's interesting because and this can be negative is that now it starts to become kind of almost like from a brand name it becomes a description of the technology or the system, right? So rental companies get question can I get some Boleros where they mean wireless intercom, right? So
So yeah,
yeah, and so yeah, so for me, and I do injustice now to all the other product lines that we have. Where are also many cool elements in there, right? So, but if I look at Riedel as a company for the product side, then I would say Bolero has had a very strong impact on the yeah profilation of our company, and also the growth in Americas, for example,
mm,
is to a large extent contributed by Bolero. So yeah, I would probably yeah give that the number one spot. Although I feel a bit bad now for the other ones.
don't worry, don't worry. It was a cheeky question, so
It's
it's
okay. It's
it's
okay.
it's it's on me. It's on me.
If we
Sorry,
have
everyone.
if there is a new CEO next week, then you know why.
Yeah. All right, then I have to be quick with the story, getting the story out quickly, you know. So the next question I have for you is, and you just kind of rolled into it a little bit. So Riedel is a very legacy-rich company, and as CEO, you have to always face difficult decisions.
Yeah,
And so you just came in beginning this year, so this is the half year mark basically.
correct.
Um, how do you, or how did you decide what to preserve from Rick and from Thomas and all the others? And where do you decide it's time to shake things up and do it a little bit differently?
Yeah, I mean I there is not a real single area where I would say we really need to shake things up. I think we are in many areas making adjustments or improvements or doing evolutions. But a lot of the foundation was actually created by Rick, and before that, of course, by Thomas already was the team. So yeah, we are adjusting to the how the world moves. We are, for example, because we see that service level agreements and so on becoming more important. So we have been investing in customer success area. So that organization went from tech support basically to a much, I would say, professionalized organization. But again, that's true an evolution. It's a step-by-step approach. So, and this is what I like also about Riedel. We are privately owned. Thomas is the sole owner, and we don't have to make tough, sometimes to rush decisions because the shareholders expect certain things or there is pressure. Here we are able to think about these things a little bit longer term and then come up with a scenario to migrate to that, where of course sometimes it has impact on people, but we also try to deal with that as respectful as we can, right? Because this is also part of the DNA is that we the people, as I mentioned, are important in the organization. So if we change things or we have to change things, we need also to do that together with the people in the most respectful way. So yeah, I mean there is transitions happening in the company, smaller ones and sometimes a bit bigger, but they are. I consider them more as an evolution than a shake-up,
Okay.
and so that's also perhaps my style. I believe more in building than in tearing down and then building something new, perhaps hoping that it's better. Because the foundations are really good right here. I mean, we have a fabulous reputation in the market. We have a solid product portfolio. We have a very good team, which is now global. So let's make sure that we build on that strong foundation step by step, without throwing old shoes away and hoping that the new ones are better. If you see what I mean.
Yeah. I feel that's a dangerous path to go on to
Yeah, but
reinvent yourself in these very turbulent
I mean,
times,
of course, we need to progress, right? So that I mean, customers are now asking for different type of business models with subscription and so on. So we have to adapt. We can't stay still, right? And this is also the message that I give to the team and say there is a constant thing here, and that is change, right? But let's make sure that we try to make that as without disruption as possible. Yeah, with so low amount of disruption as possible, because in the end that also affects the customers if we do something rush, right? And I've worked with companies where the pressure was high, and then sometimes the collateral damage was bigger than the gain, right? And then you think, that was maybe not a good idea. We should have thought about it a bit longer. And
Okay.
luckily here we can do that. But we are not slow, right? I mean, this is also again because we are not so hierarchical and collaborative. We also see these things and say, okay, let's attack it. Let's solve it.
All right. So you just mentioned see how the world moves, and it moves very quickly, without doubt. So I have a rather tricky question for you now. Uh, uh, so is there any belief you held like 5 years ago, where you thought this is gonna happen to the industry, this will change, and now in the present time you have to reiterate and be like, well, I wasn't quite on spot with this. So is there anything you have to reiterate and be like, oh, this didn't really go as I was thinking it would?
Um, no, it's a yeah. I wouldn't say it's a tricky question, but I have to think about it a bit. It's interesting how slow the industry moves fast. So no, and what I'm trying to say with that is that I got in, let's say, in touch, and it was during my Action Day, so before I joined Riedel, with audio and video over IP. And at that time, I predicted it would take 10 years to that the world would transition, right? And I was already the one that was kind of pessimistic. There were people saying, "Yeah, this is going to be done in a few years," and I got it wrong because we are more than 10 years into it, and still, as I said, there's a lot of things that are more traditional still, and customers are buying that. So I'm actually surprised how slow these things go in a fast moving technology world.
Mm.
And yeah, even I, already pessimistic according to many, was too optimistic. If you see what I mean, we
Yeah, I
mean with
mean
that.
that ties into the whole buzz theme, you know. There's
Yeah,
two big trade shows every year. All the companies show their latest tech and
yeah,
promise a lot of great things, you know, and then you go back into the live production world and you see how broadcasters are actually using the tech, you know. It's for instance, I was just reporting about the Champions League final in Munich here, and I was interested to hear that the UEFA decided not to produce in UHD, but decide to go 1080p
yeah. I
HDR. So that's a
mean,
new.
that's another one where, yeah, good that you mention it. The interesting thing is that UHD has never really made it, at least not on the broadcast in the broadcast world, right? Of course, we have it, and some customers are using it, but it has never made that breakthrough. And I thought that also there, I probably would have predicted, or I was predicting it would get a bigger impact, especially because the screens in the homes, that development went very quick suddenly, right? At some point, you could not even buy, well, you can't buy any regular 1080p monitor anymore. It's all 4K. And I
Mm.
thought, okay, that will, because this was always in the past the problem, right? That the broadcasters were pushing new things, and but the consumers at the home, but now it's the other way around. They have, and it's not working. And yeah, I think that is another thing that we have to accept, that for some reason that pull for that higher quality content is maybe not there, and maybe because it doesn't make the impact that, I mean, to be honest, my wife can't see it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and even
yeah.
I'm getting older. I can't see it. I have a UHD television at home, but most people are too far away from it anyway to see it, right? So
Mm.
so I think we have maybe reached the point where that is no longer something that customers really, or the consumers really. Of course, they will buy a UHD TV because it says a number and it's cool to say to the neighbors, but they don't care whether that content is UHD or not, right? It's same with audio. I mean, at some point, high fidelity was there, and well, of course, there are a few people that still want to push that boundary, but for the average audio listener, the audio is good enough, right? So I think we have kind of reached that with the video quality as well. So and maybe I was too tech pushy there, that I thought, UHD is gonna be still, that's gonna be where, if I would have predicted where it would settle, I would have predicted to be at the UHD level, not at the 1080p level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The interesting
Let's go
thing is
back.
when I saw the first HDR demos, I thought, that actually makes a much bigger impact than than UHD, because
It
that's
does,
something
yeah.
you can really see, and I can explain to my mother even, right, what the difference is. She definitely
Yeah.
can't see the difference between UHD and 1080p for sure.
And HD. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the development of new products, because that's why they picked you as CEO. And I'm always curious about that. So sometimes product design is about technology. You know, you just
Hmm.
mentioned it yourself. You know, products need to be a little bit sexy and
Hmm.
need to be appealing to the market in more than just technology ways. But sometimes technology is also about solving workflow headaches. Um, which comes first for you? Can you tell?
Yeah, I think I already mentioned this kind of in some of the previous answers. I believe in the end it's it must help the customer, right? And so if it gives the customer an advantage in the way they work or the economics, I think that is decisive in the end. Is the fact
Okay.
that it's a cool product helping? Of course, right? I mean, because not every customer um, needs exactly these workflow features or whatever, or their prices may be a more important fact or an element, and then having a sexy product also helps to kind of position yourself, right? So it's not technology and sexiness of the product is definitely important, but I think in the end, because customers will use it for many years, helping them to do their business better, I think is in the end uh, the decisive factor.
All right. Jan, our little interview is almost coming to an end. I want to say thank you for your time already. But I have one last question for you, and it's a little bit, it's one that where you can just
Okay.
dream big, basically. And I would like to know if there is any live event in the world. That you could equip with Riedel gear. And I know you guys are doing a lot from
That's
Formula
a
One to
really hard
SailGP and
question.
everything. But is there any other event where you'd like to go and be like, we finally we finally supplied our tech and yeah, what would it be?
That's not so easy, because we are already in many,
In all of
many.
them.
Yes, I mean, if you think about it, we are in Olympics, we are in all the major soccer championships, major soccer leagues. We are in SailGP, Eurovision contest. Uh, we are in many of these opera houses and concert halls. We are
But
out.
maybe it's also your local football club that hasn't been able to afford your technology, and
Yeah,
maybe that's something where you'd like
yeah,
to position yourself a little bit more, you know?
yeah. Well, I couldn't give a good example, to be honest. It's a tough question. I was just thinking this maybe sounds stupid, but if we ever get to Mars as a human being, maybe it would be great if our gear would be used somewhere in that communication. And maybe that's too dreaming too
All
far,
right.
right? But you know that we were involved in this the Red Bull, this Felix Baumgartner thing. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I know the jump to Mars is another dimension, but yeah, maybe that one if I could dream aloud. But yeah, maybe not in my lifetime. I don't know.
All right, let's see. I'll keep that in mind for sure. And if you go to Mars, we'll definitely have to schedule another call. Jan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I really hope that everything goes well for you as CEO and well with the team. I am curious to see where you guys are headed. Uh, I'll make sure to schedule an appointment for IBC this year, and I hope to get to see you again then.
Yes, for sure. Please do so.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank you.
day.
Have a good day, Nicholas. Bye.